Hey, welcome to Back Issues of Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Jason.
Oh man, so Jason's back, and for that I threatened we would do this, and here we are. It's Star Trek X-Men.
Wasn't this a novel?
No, there is also a novel. So here's the thing. There are 3 Star Trek X-Men crossovers. There's Star Trek X-Men, which is the one we're talking about today, which is titled Star Treks with an X instead of a K.
This is Star
great
Trek-Men.
already. I can't wait.
The second one is Star Trek X-Men The Next Generation, which is a direct sequel to this, but is a comic book in which, believe it or not, the X-Men don't die at the end of the story, and on their way back to their home dimension, because we're talking about dimensional crossroads, of course,
Sure.
They end up going further into the future of the reality they visited, which of course was the Star Trek reality, and they bump into Jean-Luc Picard of the Enterprise D.
Of course.
And then Peter David wrote a novel that's a sequel to that comic book, which is more Star Trek X-Men The Next Generation.
So if you picked up that novel,
You
there's
are-
2 comic book worth of plot before it?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Or at least one, because technically the TNG story is a sequel to this, though I don't think you necessarily need it, because all they know, they don't need as much context for the Federation in the Next Generation one, because they've already been through it.
Right,
but even then, they've only been through the original series version of the Federation, which is still pretty much on the seat of your pants. Like, it's still just, we're just making stuff as we go.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. Star Trek X-Men is set during the 5-year mission of the original series,
Okay.
which is part of the reason why I didn't read
before all the
this.
movies and stuff.
Yes. Now, Star Trek X-Men The Next Generation, the sequel to this, is set immediately following First Contact.
Oh.
The movie.
The movie. Not the event of Star Trek.
Well,
Which would, of course,
I'm just
not
trying to
be
clarify.
during...
Yeah, no. It's TNG, the next...
TNG.
So this...
Yeah,
But
But this has a lot more baggage than your usual Star Trek fare, which is to say, the usual. But Star Trek X-Men was not just like a love letter to both franchises. It was actually just a ploy to familiarize people with the fact that Marvel got the Star Trek license. Which was actually, in the 80s, Marvel had like every license. Sure. Like Marvel's like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit sequel? Done. Like there is a graphic novel that Marvel published that is technically a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. By the way, it blows.
I was going to say, why have we never done that book?
Yeah, because I read it ahead of time, and I'm like, that sucks. It's nowhere near as good as the Who Framed Roger Rabbit sequel script, which is actually a prequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Really? Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's set in the 40s, and it's a war movie about the Toons having no rights, and so they're drafted into the army, and they're forced to fight World War II. And Jessica Rabbit is like a sexy war correspondent who, rallies the troops and stuff.
That sounds super fun.
It is really fun, and like one element of the script, because it's never getting out there, except for the C&D that Disney sends me one day, is that there's a question as to who Roger Rabbit's father is.
Okay.
Does
that matter?
No, but it matters in the same way that who is Judge Doom? Remember at the end when Judge Doom dies and they're like, I wonder who he really was. I'm like, do you?
Yeah.
By the way, if you'd like to know,
that guy, right?
Right, but actually, well, of course, Jessica does say they were all drawn that way.
Yeah.
That could be a euphemism, but anyway, Judge Doom was supposed to be the hunter in Bambi who killed Bambi's mom. That was the big reveal. That was not revealed in the movie.
Right.
But that they chickened out on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because
that's
kind of like
horrible.
I mean, look, it exists, okay? No,
it doesn't matter.
Well, no, exactly, it doesn't matter.
It
Just
doesn't
like
matter.
who cares who Roger Rabbit's father is?
Yeah.
Who's his father? No one. He was drawn.
He's a goddamn
But you just said they
cartoon.
are.
Who's Bugs Bunny's father? Who cares?
Right?
No one's ever asked that.
Yeah. Is it Oswald the Rabbit? By the way, Bugs is Roger Rabbit's father.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here's how they reveal it.
Okay.
Roger has some kind of epiphany where he's like, who cares who my father was? And he walks off into the sunset. And then it pans up to the Warner Brothers water tower. And they got the logo, and it's like, and then Bugs Bunny goes, ain't I a stinker? Like, I knocked up some broad and left this kid off on the stoop. And I'm like, what? Also, because it was more of a Disney feature, there are fewer crossover references in that script. They're more careful about it. They're more like, it's not as fun. We're trying to do something here.
Well, wasn't there something crazy with the original Roger Rabbit where every studio's property had to have equal screen time of the tunes?
As I understand it, only prominent ones. Mickey and Bugs could not have more screen time than the other, which is why they meet at the same time and they have the exact same amount of screen time and lines. So anyway, Marvel got the license to Star Trek, and they had celebrated it by launching Paramount Comics, an imprint through Marvel that was going to make Star Trek comics. And so they were like, we're launching a number of Star Trek books under the Paramount Comics banner, and we're going to launch it with Star Trek X-Men. That'll familiarize the Marvel readers with the Star Trek property, because these nerds who go to comic book stores have no idea what Star Trek is. But more interestingly, they're also launching a huge initiative of Star Trek books. For example, at the end of this story, you can see the books they launched, like Voyager.
Oh,
Wow.
so this is
This is 1996.
Oh, okay.
okay. So it's right at the
when the hell did
start of Voyager? I guess?
Yeah,
to have been.
around the beginning of Voyager. So they launch a Voyager book, and they give you a little preview at the end, and a Deep Space Nine book with a little preview at the end, and a brand new book called Starfleet Academy, a book about the adventures of this young class in Starfleet Academy.
Okay.
Which is a pitch that people have been lobbing at the Star
I
Trek.
was like, oh, it's not the Starfleet Academy again. It shows up everywhere.
They still want you to do Starfleet Academy.
Well, now they're really doing it.
And there's another one, and it's Star Trek Unlimited. And the idea was it was going to have...
What does that mean?
Oh, God. What was this one? This was a double-sized book that was going to be split between the original series and TNG. So you're going to get 2 adventures for the price of 1.
Oh.
Was it a crossover? Or
No, just
two
two separate
adventures?
stories,
Okay.
yeah. But shorter than the others because they only have half as much book to deal with. And also, Star Trek Early Voyages, which featured a young Captain Pike and his adventures.
That's another thing they're obsessed with doing.
Paramount Plus is
Yeah.
like, oh, done.
Yeah. Huh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Nothing about a young Kirk yet, though.
No.
Okay.
But they also had another book, Star Trek Mirror Mirror, taking place in the mirror dimension.
Another obsession of Star Trek. Okay, so they've just been doing the same thing
No Star
for the
Trek-
last 40 years.
No Section 31, though.
Well, that
Well.
probably hadn't yet been invented at this point because that was late
Do
in
you
Deep Space
hate the
Nine.
mirror universe as much as I do?
Oh,
You hate
I
it?
absolutely hate the movie.
It is the stupidest,
Why?
laziest, nonsensical storyline.
I liked one Deep Space Nine episode about the mirror universe because of what happened.
Well, Deep Space
Not
Nine,
because the
that's after.
concept is good.
No,
which I
because
don't
of what
think
they
it
did with
is. I don't remember if I saw the original series one. I vaguely know what happens, but I do in retrospect as an adult find it lazy, incredibly lazy.
Yes.
And then I started watching Discovery, and now I think it's really lazy. It was already a stupid idea that you used to when you couldn't think of anything during a season. Oh, let me do one of these
Can you
episodes.
believe, though, TNG never went to the mirror universe?
Yeah.
Thank God. It's
Yeah.
because they had really good writers and they knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
but
they knew that
also,
was-
Beverly Crusher had sex with a ghost one time.
Okay, yeah, retract that.
This December, picking up where the episode of the same name left off, Mirror Mirror finds the crew of the Enterprise in an alternate universe where the Federation exists not to do good, but evil. Who will be the victor of this action-packed 48-page one-shot? All I'm saying.
Oh, it's a one-shot.
Mirror Mirror is a one-shot.
Okay.
Okay.
At least we didn't live in that universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people helped make this book happen, I guess to get it out on time. Either way, whatever. So it's during the original series, so everyone is wearing ill-fitting sweatshirts.
Yeah.
And
Accurate.
I really appreciate the cadence that is captured for Kirk's dialogue in this.
Yeah.
He puts ellipses in there just to make sure you know.
How to read it,
There's
yeah.
that Shatner space.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, Scott Liddell kind of sucks. He must be a Star Trek fan. For me, feels like a Star Trek episode. Everyone feels pretty in character. And we also hit the heights. Does Spock do a Vulcan nerve pinch? Of course. Does Bones say, damn it, he's a doctor, but he's not this other thing? Absolutely. Does Kirk speak with halting phrases? Of course he does. Do we reference a fan favorite episode of the original series and use it as a plot point? Absolutely. It's all there. Does someone from the X-Men flirt with Uhura? In the background, yes. It's Gambit. Oh, also, though, Lodell does refer to the Enterprise by the wrong designation. Not the numerical designation, but they refer to it as a Constellation-class ship when it is a Constitution-class ship. But I think we're all willing to ignore that gaffe. I hope somebody got fired over that blunder.
I mean, that's...
Well,
you do no research
But I mean,
on
like,
this?
what is a Constellation-class ship? I don't even know what I'm supposed to picture here.
Right? I'm sure Memory Alpha could tell us.
Certainly. I'm sure Memory Alpha has a heavy section about that. It's like, I couldn't even read Star Trek.
Well, as soon as this came out, someone was typing up. Well, it was
yeah.
96 and they
96.
weren't, but it was
Well,
now.
there was a
they'd-
news
they'd
group
been
that
typing
was
up
talking
in
about
News
it.
entry
group
how-
or a BBS or
Actually,
something. Someone's just
it's a
going.
different way to refer to a Constitution class. Some people call it a Constellation class, you see.
Right. Or this is how you know this is not in Star Trek continuity.
Oh,
It was in
yeah.
fact a parallel Earth where
Where
the only difference is we call them Constellation class ships instead of Constitution class ships.
It's the Constellation universe.
The only other difference is X-Men also showed up in it.
Oh, yeah, that too.
The crew of the Enterprise are drawn to Delta Vega, which, of course, if you are familiar with that one episode where no man's gone before, sorry. I'm colored by the TNG genderless designation. Of,
Right, sorry, everybody.
It's no man's gone before.
Right, this is the 1960s, damn it.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, they're drawn to Delta Vega because there is this kind of like big energy rift in space, and they're drawn to it and they want to check it out. But Kirk is sad because he buried his friend Gary Mitchell there one time, and he doesn't want to remember it, but he has to.
Right.
My best friend, Gary Mitchell. And I'm like, I didn't watch the original series, so I don't know who that is.
I mean,
Well,
his
it
best
was-
friend Gary Mitchell
I'm like,
was in
is
one
this Spock?
episode.
It was,
The first episode.
yeah, it was a pilot.
It was the second.
It was the
pilot.
replacement
Oh.
pilot,
It
yes.
was the replacement pilot, so it doesn't have like a lot of people in it that you would expect.
Right.
Yeah.
And people you could spare. Like
Gary. All of them.
Well, yeah, you could just kill someone and then say that he was your best friend.
I
because
see.
who's to know? Because this show just started.
Right. Fair enough. Also, of course, we have like Kirk's ongoing Starship log, which explains how he lost
His friend.
his friend, and this other lady died also in it. Elizabeth Dainer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she died also, but not before they had like psionic energy powers and became gods, and then he had to kill, like Kirk had to kill them.
Yes.
Or as is my understanding.
Well, she turned
Basically,
on.
yeah.
She was working with Mitchell, and then like Kirk convinced her to turn on him, and then he killed her. But not before she like wounded him and enabled Kirk to get the drop on them and kill them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm not missing much because I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was about if you get the ability to read minds, you'll become like godlike. I guess I don't know.
Right.
Oh, the whole idea that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah,
of
That
course.
was the whole.
and turns you
idea.
into a different person. Right?
Yeah.
Functionally, who can't be reasoned with or bargained with.
So they're reading this like psionic energy, and they're like, it's kind of like the Gary Mitchell situation. Remember that? And they're like, yeah, we're right there. So that's kind of problematic. So anyway, let's keep a healthy distance, but monitor it and keep like reading your scopes and whatnot. And so while they're reading these, so while the sensors are taking these readings, they also get a signal from another ship. And they get what Uhura parses out is a distress signal from what Marvel fans might recognize as a Shi'ar ship. The Shi'ar Empire is a race of humanoid, bird-themed people in the Marvel Universe that also have like latent psychic powers, and Charles Xavier occasionally has sex with one of them.
How? Well, that's TMI right there.
You need the information. Like,
Oh, okay. No, that's important that
that you
Charles-
know. This way you know at least why the X-Men are fucking around in space. Because Xavier was before they got there. But anyway, so the Shi'ar are there. They're always a source of problems for the X-Men, or the X-Men are a source of problems for the Shi'ar. But anyway, this is how humanity gets any connection with an outside space-faring species.
Right.
Is the X-Men having adventures with the Shi'ar. You should also understand that, like, the Shi'ar, they look like people, but again, they're bird-themed. At least
When you say
vaguely.
like bird theme,
They wear clothes and name themselves after things that could be considered to be bird-like.
okay, but they don't have like beaks and.
They don't have. No, they look like regular people. That way you can have sex with them.
okay.
It's all gross. Because the last thing you need is bird flu from some Melandra.
Do they have actual feathers?
They wear feathers on their outfits occasionally, or like Lalandra has a headdress that has kind of feathering, but is not feathers. It mirrors the look of feathers, but also isn't silly. Or at least it's less silly than having feathers. However, her evil sister Deathbird has no such immodesty. She's more than happy to wear feathers.
Okay.
She is
So really this
a
is like-
peacock and needs to strut. She has the plumage and she wants to show it off.
So it's really a stylistic choice within their society.
I think so.
As to whether you wear actual feathers or just imply that you have feathers.
Yes, and it could be a way of like designating, maybe like Deathbird wants to show deference to her culture. Again, the
Or she
bird
just has
thing
no
is-
problem slaughtering birds to get actual feathers.
That's true. Yeah, we don't know. I've never seen a Shi'ar bird. I've only seen the Shi'ar approximate birds, and even then, they don't really harp on the bird thing as much as I do. It's more just I want you
You're
to
just
be.
trying to explain how they're different.
I'm getting ahead of it because I want you to be aware that when
There's
we
going to
meet-
be bird people.
Well, Deathbird is going to be in this book, and she's
Okay.
the antagonist, and you
I
want to
see.
go like Deathbird, and it's like the Shi'ar thing with birds, but not like that there are birds, just that they look like them sometimes, and even only like the little royal family, except for the Majestrix, which is to say the leader of the Shi'ar's royal guard, which is essentially one dude who is an inside joke on Superman. Their character is called Gladiator, and he has a mohawk and is intellectually distinct enough from Superman to be his own character, but also like flies around and has super strength and stuff like that.
Okay, that's a whole lot of caveats you just laid out.
Well, you need them because it's an X-Men book, kind of.
Okay.
That way we
Okay.
can take the Star Trek stuff for granted.
Right.
right. Okay, so Shi'ar,
The Shi'ar are here.
people with a bird affectation.
Yeah, that's right. That is what the Shi'ar are.
And if you see them, there's a good chance the X-Men are also
Not far behind.
going to be there.
And you're probably going to get a fight with Gladiator, who looks nothing like any other member of the Shi'ar. He looks like Superman with a mohawk. And I
Got
believe he's
it.
blue as well.
Okay.
All right, I'm prepared.
We're
Let's
ready.
go.
Yes. So they see this ship, and they're like, what the hell? And they take a scan, and then it explodes. And they're like, because the crew is essentially like, it could be a warship. We may need to watch out. And Kirk's like, well, I'm more concerned about protecting them. Let's get a tractor beam, see if we can help them out. But kaboom, it explodes. And Kirk's like, Mr. Spock? Like, how we drop the ball here?
Did we blow that up? Was
Yep.
that us?
No, he's just like, okay. So Spock tries to explain that the sensors indicated that there were 7 near-human life forms on board before the explosion.
Near human.
And that's what Bones wants to know. He says, near-human, Spock? What the hell does that mean? Either they were or they weren't. And Spock's like, in your limited scope, I suppose that's true.
Nice.
So
Okay, so what does it mean, though, Spock?
it means mutants. It means that they saw the X-Men on there. But they don't know that because they didn't have like a periscope. They were just,
see.
doing a reading. So then they bump into yet another Shi'ar aircraft that flies past,
It's way bigger.
and it's way bigger because that's a royal aircraft that contains Deathbird, who was technically a member of the royal family. But anyway, of course they're by Delta Vega, which technically should be like empty. But now it's suddenly, teeming with life. People are all over the place.
Yeah. Well, Delta Vega had some sort of like remote mining, automated mining facility on it,
Interesting.
so there was like facility there for people to be there, but not
that's
like
right.
a huge population, like
Gotcha.
a small crew for maintenance or whatever.
Well, they had just been there, and there wasn't anyone, I don't think, because that's why they were going to leave Mitchell there,
Right.
because he couldn't hurt anyone. So I think it was designed to run without people.
Oh yeah, it was, but there
you
was
could-
like
but
there
there
was
could
like
be
a
people there.
facility
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That
There's places
they
to walk
were
around
in.
and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was even a brig that they kept Mitchell in
Right.
before his powers got so big that he could just turn the machine off and walk out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the strange craft to the Enterprise fires a projectile at the ship.
I guess he means like an unguided projectile, because they use projectiles in Star Trek.
Right, but like it's not a photon torpedo.
Right, it's not like a missile.
They
or-
lobbed something at us.
It's just a bullet. It's like a bullet.
Yeah. Well, seemingly it's a bullet until it stops.
Oh.
And
Bullets don't stop.
no,
Right.
it's Gladiator. A dude flew at the ship and then stopped, and then proceeded to tell them, "I'm Gladiator, I'm Praetor of the Imperial Guard, leave now." And Kirk turns to Spock. Spock, is he talking to us right now? How is he able to exist in space and speak in a vacuum? And Spock simply looks at his scopes and goes, "Quite simply, Captain, it's not possible."
Thanks, Spock. That's really helpful.
So while they're looking at the view screen, Gladiator rears up, and they're like, what? And then the ship lurches, and Kirk goes, did he just punch my ship? Which is, in fact, what happens, and in fact, he damaged the shields, according to Mr. Scott. And he's like, "That's it, that's your warning, get out of here." And Uhura's like, "Yeah, we just got the translation. Apparently there's something called the Shi'ar Empire. Never heard of it before. I don't know who this guy is." Meanwhile, they want to get the shields back up, and Kirk asks Scotty how long it'll take, and Scotty says, "As long as it takes me to walk to engineering." And while that's happening, Wolverine is in the air ducts of the Enterprise, listening in on everything that's happening. And
how'd he get there?
Well, it turns out that the X-Men were trying to teleport to the other Shi'ar ship, but ended up instead accidentally teleporting to the Enterprise.
I hate it when that happens.
Why were they on a Shi'ar ship in the first place?
Well, they were actually tapped by the Shi'ar to deal with this energy anomaly, because the same anomaly that the Enterprise sees on this side of the universe is happening on the other side of the Marvel universe. And so the Shi'ar encountered it, and they encountered an energy signature that was dangerously similar to a villain that the X-Men occasionally deal with called Proteus. And Proteus is the son of Moira McTaggart, a friend and previously not mutant friend of the X-Men, but she will be retconned by Jonathan Hickman to be a mutant later, but never mind that. Right now, all we need to know is that Moira McTaggart had a son named Proteus, and he had a very similar power set to Gary Mitchell.
There
we go.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Proteus had the ability to generate a lot of psionic energy and inhabit bodies, and when he did, he actually ended up sharing the body and memories and experiences of the body he inhabited. So he also kind of became that person.
It was like a Trill.
Yeah. So you can imagine that maybe Proteus might be going to Delta Vega, might find a body. The problem is whenever Proteus would invade another body, he would usually burn out that body and kill it. So he could never really inhabit any body for too long. Right. But Gary Mitchell housed the energy of a god. So Proteus is interested in Gary Mitchell's corpse on Delta Vega.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to the Enterprise.
So, is there some sort of dimensional rift here?
Yes, there is a rift of psionic energy that is happening in both realities.
Okay.
And so both parties are drawn to it for different reasons, but find themselves on the same quest.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's why Wolverine is going to fight Spock.
Okay.
Sweet.
Unfortunately, it is 1996, so Wolverine has bone claws.
Oh, no.
Which just horribly dates the book. But you know what? It's also set during the original series, so it horribly dates that universe too, so whatever.
Sure.
But here he is, and he doesn't get to snicked. Instead, he makes a schlacked sound because it's bones sliding out of his flesh instead of it being awesome, smooth, indestructible metal.
Right.
So
that's unfortunate.
it is unfortunate.
So with the bone claws, is it ever fracture one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, they break.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It is.
Yeah, painful.
Horribly painful.
Yeah.
But they do grow back.
That sounds so much worse.
He's always, he must be immune to pain at this point because he's been through so much horribly painful stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, he has been tormented for hundreds of years. He is not immune to it, but he probably is. It explains why he's such an asshole.
Right.
He's just really unhappy.
Right.
Right, because he's been getting his bones broken and they grow back for hundreds of years.
Or his body stitched together, or his bones
been
laced
blown
with
apart
unkillable metal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Regrown from a single cell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Wolverine gets all the information he needs. He slinks back to the the cargo bay where the X-Men are hiding. And who are the X-Men in this particular case? It's Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, Gambit, Bishop, and Beast.
Okay. Pretty classic.
It's a pretty decent team, and everybody has a role to play except for Gambit, which is why Gambit's unconscious.
Well, I'm glad they brought him along.
Why is he
Ga-
unconscious?
Gambit was the last one to teleport off the ship, and like I guess the explosion or something hurt him or something.
Oh,
But,
it was like half
teleported
when it blew up.
Yeah, he's in a bad way, and he's like, I'm gonna be okay, but then he passes out.
I see.
So now the X-Men have like a couple of things. They're like, we got to deal with Proteus, we got to deal with Deathbird, we got to figure out who the Enterprise is and what the Federation is and all this stuff, and we got to save Gambit. So in this reality, there was no show,
Right.
I guess.
Man.
Which actually is better, because then you turn it into an episode of Galaxy Quest. We don't need that.
Right.
Like where it's like, oh my God, we're actually on the Enterprise. That's so great.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
That would be much worse.
That'd be bad.
It's better that they're just like, what? I never heard of the Federation. So
Yeah, just like the people in the Federation never heard of the X-Men.
exactly. Right, exactly. Although the people of the Federation, that is to say, the crew of the Enterprise, are from the future. So maybe it's a future of the Marvel Universe. Since Marvel has the Star Trek license, we could say that it could be a future.
I mean, Star Trek itself isn't. They're not unfamiliar with mutants and maybe genetically engineered, modified persons, right?
Even
So-
Spock mentions, like, he actually refers to them as Homo superior. Like, he's familiar with the term.
Yeah, but they seem really surprised that there's a guy flying around in space talking to them, which
Right.
they wouldn't be if they were at all
Well, unless the
familiar with
Shi'ar Empire
superheroes.
was annihilated 100 years prior, but even then they'd have, like, some kind of record.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Jean uses her telepathic powers, which pings Spock, because Spock, of course, has latent psychic ability.
Right.
And so he asks permission to leave the bridge. And Kirk's kind of like, now? Like, where are you going? He's, I believe in your vernacular you'd call it checking out a hunch. You'll notify me if your hunch checks out.
Is that just like Spock's way to get whatever he wants? Is just like, I'm just going to pretend to be human, and it'll entertain Kirk so much. He'll be like,
Yay!
yes, go Spock, do it.
Yes. I'm going to, as your people like to say, drop a deuce.
Delightful.
Good God, you pointy-eared bastard! Why don't you keep that to yourself? Bones. Show some decorum. Anyway, so the X-Men are like, let's split up. We can cover more ground that way. So,
Right.
Beast and Storm take Gambit to what they assume might be an infirmary, and they go there. And the rest of the team is looking to go down into the planet's surface and see if they could stop Proteus or some shit. I don't know. So while they're in the infirmary, you know, they're like...
Sick bay?
The sick bay. Beast is like, oh my God, I'm like a kid in a candy store. Look at all this cute, crazy future technology. Like, it'll take me like 5 minutes, like 2 minutes if I can find a manual. And then Bones walks in and he's like, what the heck are you people doing in here? And so they're like, anyway. And then he sees that Gambit is injured, so he immediately springs into action and gets him onto a table. Nurse Chapel enters the room, and she calls for Dr. McCoy, and both Beast and Bones go, yes, because, of course, they're both doctors, and their last names are McCoy.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
I like
guess.
that. Okay.
Or not, whatever.
No,
This is the story, folks.
This is, look, you can't not do that.
Yeah.
Now, is that
Right.
why Beast is here? Yes. Because does Beast do anything else in the story? Not really. So he is absolutely here because his last name is McCoy.
Right.
So he's just
make
here
that
for,
joke.
for
He's
a
here for
one-line
that
joke.
joke.
Yeah.
Wow.
He might as well then just go, oh, and then fade back into his reality. Oh, we don't need you anymore. Meanwhile, Bishop, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean are like looking to find a way to the bridge and just like kind of strong arm the crew and let them beam down onto the planet. And they bump into Spock, who trains a phaser on them and explains how he found them. And he's just like, well, I knew where you were because of my psychic link with Jean, and then I reasoned the most logical route of sneakery. You know, you sneaking to where you needed to be was this way. So anyway, that's why I'm here anyway. Freeze. So Wolverine's like, all right, Bub, I'm going to hit you with my adamantium bone. Oh, wait, I don't have those. I'm going to poke you with my freaking normal bones that jump out of my hands. Here I go. And so he jumps on Spock and causes Spock to drop his phaser, and then Spock immediately hits him with the Vulcan nerve pinch. And Wolverine's just like, boom, like a sack of potatoes.
Nice.
Excellent.
And they're like, "What'd you do?" And he's like,
But he gets right up, right?
But his healing factor kicks in, so he's like, "Nah!" And Spock's like, "Nice, okay, well,
Fascinating.
I'll just keep doing it to you." I mean, he doesn't, but like he could. So,
Well, also like Vulcans are stronger than humans.
Yes.
So is a Vulcan stronger than a mutant human?
right. Well, certainly
Or
Wolverine.
are they evenly matched?
Easily.
Yeah, Wolverine's he's not strong.
Wolverine-
He's
is
not
he?
super strong, but he's
he's-
strong enough.
Oh.
He's pretty ripped. I mean,
He is ripped.
He's
yeah.
more ripped than you.
Right?
That's
Thanks.
true. He is certainly he's more ripped than Snorlax. But yeah, he's bad. So anyway, I guess because because we're dealing with aliens here, Wolverine threatens Spock and says like, "Take us to your leader." Haha.
Okay.
And so they go to,
You're dealing with aliens. What? Because I have pointy ears?
Yes.
This guy looks like a friggin' monster from the closet. Like, what is this?
yeah. How dare you judge me?
He's blue.
He's blue. Well, just
He's covered in hair.
I thought you were just talking about Wolverine.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, no. Beast does look like Sully from Monsters Incorporated. That's
Right?
true.
Like, but I must be an alien
Because I got
have
pointy ears. Well, maybe I'm a fantasy character. Did you think about that? I'm a space elf. Which is basically what Vulcans are, right? I mean, that's right. Like,
Yeah,
I guess, yeah. They're
sure.
like smart and like
they're smart and
stronger.
strong, and they're better, and they live longer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
imagine
a
that the
space
Vulcans
elf.
probably walk
Yeah.
on top of snow. Yeah. They can see farther. They only die from violent
They
crime.
sing beautiful songs. And,
If the mood should strike them, which of course it wouldn't because they purge themselves of emotions, but yes.
right.
Anyway, so Kirk is sad because, they're near his dead friend's body, and he's like,
Oh, I'm sad.
So then McCoy calls the bridge, and he's like, yeah, so,
Which one?
Bones.
Yeah.
He calls Kirk, and he's like, yeah, so there's like X-Men and stuff on this ship, I don't know. And
It's a whole thing.
You gotta come down here. And so Kirk opens the doors, and he bumps into the X-Men. The rest of them. And Spock.
Right. He's like, what the hell
And like
are these people?
Just like
Look at it. It's insane.
like it's amazing because when you put like the original series costumes in front of these X-Men, like the X-Men look like insane clowns. Like,
Yes.
because I know what regular people dressed like Star Trek characters looks like. I'm not sure I know what Wolverine's wearing. Like, it just kind of puts a hat on the whole thing, and I gotta say, like, I'm here for it, but it's also kind of like, what?
Yeah, it kind of shatters the illusion a little bit.
Right, like-
that the X-Men are at all plausible.
Like, Scott Summers introduces himself to Captain James Tiberius Kirk as Cyclops. Like, you have a real name, though. You could just say you're Scott. You know the reality.
You're
I
like,
think you
oh,
dropped the code
okay,
name.
I see what's going on here. These guys have regular sweaters on.
Right.
I'm
Right.
Scott.
I'm Scott. I'm
This
Scott.
is a ship full of normies.
Yeah.
You have to, yeah.
The guy with the pointy ears pointed a gun at me, basically. Like, you know, I'm not dealing with Magneto here. So, but again, he introduced himself as Scott. So he introduced himself as Cyclops, and he goes, I don't suppose there are any more of your X-Men, perhaps in sickbay? And Bishop explains, that would be Storm, Beast, and Gambit. And he's like, of course it would. Spock,
Is that their first names or?
or is it like Spock?
Right.
Actually, the crew should be well accustomed
Yeah, it's
to
very
like
normal.
insane-sounding singular names.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kirk asks Spock to explain like where they come from, and this is the part that Spock says defies logic. It's that they're from Earth, apparently. It's like, well. And then Wolverine says the most Wolverine line ever. He goes, and if you're half the space cowboy Spock claims you are, we're in a position to kick some major Shi'ar butt. And I'm like, okay. And we forgivably cut, and we meet up with Gladiator and Deathbird. And
yeah, there's some.
Wow.
Wow, that guy's
Wow.
got a lot of feathers.
right?
Yeah. So which one's that guy?
That's
Oh,
awesome.
this guy is the Vizier.
Okay,
His name is Vizier.
You didn't mention him as being like Super Birdie.
Well,
earlier.
he
didn't know.
normally escapes my my relevance because Vizier doesn't do anything.
Okay.
He's supposed to be wise and help. Maybe that's why he looks like an owl.
How else will we know he's wise?
And his name is Vizier.
Right.
Right.
That's his name?
Jafar's title was Vizier. They didn't even go that far, and that was a Disney movie. But anyway, yeah. So Deathbird, this whole thing, like we got Deathbird and Vizier and Gladiator and the Shi'ar and also there's like members of her royal guard who also look like superheroes that we're not even going to get into, but they appear on one panel and they're there. And the only thing is, Deathbird wants to maybe use Proteus and steal his power or something. Like, it's just, I'm looking for power, and I hear there's some over here, let's go get it. And it's just like, well, and you know, the thought process that went into it was, well, I gotta get them into space. Like, how do I get the X-Men into space? Well, the Shi'ar. And it's like, you gotta unpack that, man. You can't just say the Shi'ar. Why did it just have to be Corsair? Corsair is Cyclops and Havoc and Vulcan's space dad, who runs a team called the Starjammers in space. But that is less complicated somehow than the Shi'ar. We don't go with Corsair and the Space Pirates. But anyway.
Okay.
That
Well, and I
outfit,
feel like
Yeah.
I feel like if a ship of space pirates showed up, like the Enterprise would be able to understand what that was when they
immediately,
encountered it,
but like
right?
dealing with
Right.
these, but like
there's all this context you need for this.
but they don't get any of it though. You know, they're just like, I hear. Well,
guess that's the
thing is,
joke.
they hear about the Shi'ar Empire and they're like, right, like the Klingon Empire,
Right,
You know, it's
or like
sure.
all of them.
or like any empire, the Romulan Empire. They all get empires.
yeah, the Gorn.
Yeah. Do the Gorn have empires?
Yeah,
Right, they
I
must.
think they
I
call
mean-
it an empire. It's like the Gorn Confederacy or
I was
some
gonna say,
shit.
have we only seen one of them?
No, there's a whole bunch of them. There was
There
a
are
war. Oh yeah, they had a whole thing. They were known.
I'm only familiar with the one that Kirk throws a rock at.
yeah, well,
Yeah, well, it took a long time for the Gorn to show up again.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah, so like it was just that one-off episode, and then
Arena.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
believe they knew who they were.
They were familiar with the Gorn at that point.
were they?
I
Okay.
think so. Yeah. Then there's a lot more with the Gorn.
Right.
Maybe it was mostly subsequently, but yeah, there's like it's a culture. It's a known culture, and
Okay.
they have
Yeah.
a whole thing with them.
I should
They have
say
ships and everything.
We did an episode of Star Trek crossover, Star Trek Green Lantern,
yeah.
and that one dealt with the Lantern Spectrum,
Yes.
and a Gorn gets a ring. That was awesome. But it's a little.
But we're not here to talk about the
We're not
Gorn.
here- we're not- I mean, the Gorn aren't even in this book, but we're here to represent the fact that like there are empires, they're familiar.
Yeah.
We say Shi'ar, sure, whatever.
Yeah, just one of the hundreds.
We got all kinds of made up stupid gobbledygook names. Yours
Every
is
week
Shi'ar?
I encounter a different one. I got more than you.
Right, unless it's Al Capone
Well, we also have that.
and the Gangster Planet.
Yeah,
And the Hitler planet and
Hitler planet, the Roman planet.
the Roman planet.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it's just the
They really leaned into that whole like.
costume department planet.
Yeah,
where it's
the
like,
whole like using backlots that are,
Yeah.
that are made for other
they're
movies.
shooting another ripoff of Ben-Hur. Let's go. We can have the whole week. We can spend less time on the ship in this episode. So anyway, we go to Delta Vega, like we land on it, and the omniscient narrator explains, like, Delta Vega was a fairly inhospitable planet, a former mining substation long and abandoned and cordoned off from the Federation traffic routes. So, okay.
go.
Okay. Right.
But now there's a small Scottish village that was created because Proteus has infected the body of Gary Mitchell.
Oh.
When's he long been abandoned? Like,
Right?
How long is this? Because
They're still on their 5-year mission. So it's like,
That's what I'm saying.
It's only been maximum, like what? It was the first episode, so there's only 3 seasons.
right.
So it could only be 3 years.
And in the episode they say specifically, like, you know, the ore ships only come by to collect the stuff from the facility every 20 years.
Oh my God. So it hasn't really been, it actually,
It hasn't even been
that
one
makes
cycle.
you might
no
even say
sense.
it's never been abandoned.
Right. Or if it had, you'd never know because
Yeah.
the ship hasn't even come yet.
Now they do say what star date it is, but I'm not going to get into it. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like where to put it in the chart. I don't know. I do
Nobody
know
does.
when Captain Morgan Bateson of the USS Bozeman says what year it is because he just says the year. Of course I know what year it is. It's 2278. Man, you would not believe my disappointment when that episode ended, and I was like, "Where is the next one? Like, we got to see
Right.
that."
What
And they were like, "Oh, there
happened?
isn't one." Wait, what do you
Yeah,
mean? That is just that one thing.
Yeah. That adventure's over. Now on to the next
No,
one.
but like, but I want to see that.
See what?
I want to see.
We already
Picard
did it.
Talk to Bateson. I want to talk. I want to see the Soyuz class ship in action.
Why would you want to see that?
What?
That was just for that one
I
episode.
don't know, because I also saw like way too many episodes where we have to deal with Worf and like the fallout of his dad. And I'm like, and I'm like, is this okay? So is this the same episode I saw, or is this yet another episode where Worf is dealing with the
Continuing
fallout
adventures of Worf.
of his effing dad, and them having to carry the shame of him not even having been a Romulan traitor? Like, oh my God! Like, where is the chase, and how do I cut?
But they couldn't give us a 5-minute scene with Picard and Bates and just talking.
Come on! At the height of Frasier's popularity, have you ever seen? I think it's an Emmys sketch where they got everyone but Kelsey Grammer from Frasier into TNG costumes.
Yes.
And put them on the bridge and did like a Frasier sketch in Star Trek. It's really weird.
It's so weird.
It's weird because like I don't sense any fun from anyone involved.
Like none of them's a Star Trek fan.
No one's having fun, but the audience. Like the audience in attendance is like, I am having the best time. But like Martin Crane is not. David Hyde Pierce is not having fun.
What is that? What are we doing?
What is this?
I don't get it.
What is this though? Like, what's the pitch though? It's Frasier in Star Trek, but Frasier isn't even here. Gary Mitchell / Proteus are walking around in Gary Mitchell's corpse, running around, whipping up Scottish villages because his mom is Moira McTaggart, you see.
Right.
And then we should also then retcon that this was actually then made into that Irish village that the ghost that Beverly Crusher has sex in is. Because that's like the closest thing to the Al Capone planet in that episode where I'm like, I'm sorry. Like the Native American reservation planet was asking a lot.
It was asking a lot.
But like an entire settlement of Irish people. With like cobblestone roads and castles and crap. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And also like romance novel ghosts. that still get erections. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Both of them, every time I watch it, I'm like, well, the ghost one, I'm like, I've seen that like 8 times.
Yeah.
But the Native American one, I'm like, I'm just like, I mean, didn't you have aliens that can be allegories?
Well, like they had to do a heavy-handed metaphor. I assume that's displacement of people.
But like, is it a metaphor when it's literally Native Americans?
It's not. It's
it's ironic.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, and I guess that's why they were like, we have to let them have this. But like, they don't. They're not like, in fact, there's a whole subplot where they're like, Jean-Luc Picard, you come from a line of explorers and dominators because you're French.
Right.
And we gotta like absolve you of your sins. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
It's like 400 years ago.
It's like 800 years ago. What? That's also the one where like Wesley goes away. How many times does Wesley leave the show? Like, at least three,
he
right?
leaves for real, and then he just had like recurring guest roles, like when he was on break from the academy,
right?
Or when he got like kicked out of the academy for like
doing I wanted to say the Kurland Mesker. I actually meant to say the Cullibird Star Maneuver.
That's the one.
Yeah.
If you can't find it within yourself to stand up for the truth, you don't deserve to wear that uniform.
There is a Wesley cameo in the TNG X-Men crossover where, like, in the 0 hour, the Traveler shows up with Wesley, and they're all like, Wesley? And he's like, no time to explain. We got to use the Traveler. He's got to hold his weird hands over this thing and have an orgasm over the machine, and then we can go this way. And Beverly's like, Wes, you're here. I haven't seen you in, like, it's first contact, a couple of years at least.
Right.
And
Weird.
I'm like, go away, Wesley.
Get out of here, Wesley. Is that how he comes back? Because he does come back.
He does come back in Nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's just inexplicably back in Starfleet again.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Oh, yeah, no.
But that's okay, because he showed up in Picard.
He did at the end of season 2.
With like a 3-minute cameo that didn't really make sense.
Yeah, but like...
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, he picks up one of the less popular cast members and takes her away.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which was fine because then we
Because
didn't
then we
have to
didn't
see
have
that
her anymore.
That was-
I wonder what
season
happened to some of the lesser characters from season, because I watched
Oh, they
season
stayed
3.
in the some of them stayed in the past. Other ones turned
okay.
into Borg and went away, and then
Yeah.
one of them got picked up by Wesley and disappeared.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Wesley just looks like he's about to do like a YouTube interview. Like he's just like, "Hi."
Yeah, he's like if we just showed up.
And we just
there
showed up and he's
on
wearing
set,
like,
we're
a
"Hey."
graphic shirt with like fucking Darth Vader on it. He's like, "Hi, I'm a traveler too now." And
I'm a
like,
traveler,
whatever.
Well, who are you? Well, I used to be known as Wesley Crusher.
Oh my God! No, I'm Wesley the White. You know, because when I first showed up, I was wearing a rainbow shirt, so it was like I was Wesley the Many Colored. So it's actually kind of deep. Did you know one time I talked to William Shatner and he was mean to me?
Yeah.
It's all in my book.
He's mean to everyone. What? It's William Shatner. What are you
He's
talking
mean to
about?
everyone every year when he goes to a convention. Like every convention has the same story. William
William's gonna be nice to
was
you? Are you out of your fucking mind? You're
right.
Wesley.
So where were we in this book?
Kirk tries to bang Jean Grey
Nice.
because she's like, I have psychic abilities, and he's like, not to mention your breathtaking beauty, and she's like, my husband agrees, and he's like, ah, okay. Where's Storm?
So, what's your story?
You seem as unpredictable and beautiful as the weather itself.
Oh.
It's a good line, Kirk.
I just made it up. It's not in the book. So anyway, they go back. They beam down to the planet. They're like, oh, shit's happening
gotta
down
find
there.
Proteus.
Let's go. And Proteus is there, and Deathbird's like hanging off of this corpse, Gary Mitchell's body. Jesus. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna commit some bird necrophilia.
Oh my
And,
god. Why does she like Proteus? Like,
because
what's
she wants to use him.
I see.
You see, because at least
What does he want with her?
he doesn't.
Oh.
I think he's just like, well, I'm gonna bang her and then I'm gonna discard her. You know, like so much used tissues.
I see.
Because literally, like, there's a big sequence, like, oh, look at these ridiculous characters that are part of Deathbird's squad that all look like rejected Image characters,
Yep.
and you're like, what? And also, Gary Mitchell's here, and Proteus is inside of him, and Deathbird wants him to be inside of her, and then they're all like, what? And then literally, like in the next page, they're like all like lovey-dovey, and then like Mitchell / Proteus's powers are like, rah, and they just, get away from me, woman! Ah! And you're like, oh, I guess that was done. Like, whatever.
He's still figuring it out.
Well, because
I
like,
guess.
because Deathbird just wants to use him. I think maybe Deathbird knows.
Maybe
like
read her
Proteus,
mind. It's like,
oh,
just shoves her face.
right, yeah. He's like, oh no, if we actually were to procreate, it'd be an egg. Get out of here. But, which is true. But anyway.
I thought they weren't actually birds.
No, but they do have eggs though.
Does Proteus have like the mind reading psychic capability?
No,
Okay,
Proteus,
yeah.
but he's also like mostly like an energy being, so he inhabits bodies.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm in Gary because like Gary could handle the power of a god and kind of has some like latent god powers even in his corpse. And so I can like reanimate it, and now I am Gary and Proteus at the same time.
Cool.
So that
they're just facing off. They're just
facing off
standing opposite each other.
in this Scottish village that Proteus made because his mom's last name is McTaggart.
Right.
And like they yell at each other, about like power and energy.
And who should use it or not
They
use
just
it.
Gary's like he explains, like I'm Proteus and Gary's body would like most bodies burn out, but Gary's won't. So now I'm gonna do this, haha, and like I can use the latent psychic abilities here, and then I'm gonna tap into the rift. Remember that rift?
Oh,
Vaguely,
yeah, that's what brought us
yeah.
all here in the first place.
I'm gonna use that rift. I'm gonna tap into that rift, and then I'll be
Right.
like, I'll be even more of a god than ever, and I'm gonna blow up all the universes, like both of them, like here and there.
Why
Or
would you
something.
want to do that?
I don't know, whatever. I'll blow it up, kill everybody, take over. It's all 6 in 1.
Right. I'll just get more power.
I'm written by Scott Liddell. I'm winging it one page to the other. Like there's no plan here. I mean, like literally,
I'm the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy.
Look at my eyes.
I'm making out with Deathbird. I don't even know what she's supposed to do here. She doesn't even have a plan. And then later, he's just gonna push her away, and then she won't be in the book anymore, except to give the X-Men a lift home because everyone's embarrassed to have been in this crossover. Like no one is gonna fight with each other after this.
That's awesome. This is like an Image book. This is insane.
Yeah, it looks like one too.
Yeah.
So anyway, the rift is getting bigger, and Gary is tapping into it, and so Kirk calls up to the
Is
Enterprise.
everyone going to use their mutant powers?
Yeah, they got to re-kill Gary.
Okay. I just haven't seen that happen yet.
Yeah,
they're gonna
are
do
they
that at the
Are
end.
they gonna hurry up here?
Yeah,
or-
well, listen, we always deviations to talk about Star Trek. So,
Right.
So, anyway, Kirk asks for suggestions, and basically, Beast teams up with Spock because they're both smart, and Beast explains to Spock that, like, what if we were to use your tractor beam and, like, rip the rift apart?
Okay.
And Spock's like, I mean, like, that sounds insane and not real, but, like, let's try it. Because you're wearing a ridiculous, because you look like like Sully.
The movie hasn't come out yet.
Because this, yeah, but no, by this point, it's long over. Like,
Oh.
we've had 4 sequels to Monsters Inc. at this point. Because in the distant future.
Right.
And as we know, like, there's no film industry in the Star Trek universe, so, like, they're all just rewatching the same old movies over and over again. Which, by the way, really kills me. Like, we have live theater in Star Trek, but we don't make movies. Anyway, so what they're going to do is they're going to rip the rift in half, and then they're going to fire the rift at Bishop, who can absorb and redirect energy, and then he's going to fire the rest of the energy rift at Mitchell on the planet.
What?
Like he's
It
a
seems
fucking
like-
photon torpedo.
It seems like a rift being a tearing of space.
Yes.
If you tear at it,
Yeah.
You're just
that
tearing
seems like
the space
the wrong
more.
thing to be doing.
Well, no, it's actually the best thing to do because when you do it, you then kill the bad guy and your rift closes. But with
Okay.
enough dramatic time for everyone to say goodbye and then go through it.
Because like when I get a rift in my
What?
jeans and I tear at the rift
Right.
in my pants,
You
it
just get
gets
more
bigger.
rift.
Well, of course.
And then I have a whole
you're
mess.
talking about a physical rift in your pants. That's what it matter. We're talking about antimatter and
Okay.
space
And,
and
So-
psionic energy.
right.
So okay.
What are they putting through Bishop?
They're going to fire the energy they pull from the tractor beam ripped rift. Like, when we pull the rift, it's going to make energy that we're taking away from the rift and robbing of Mitchell Proteus.
okay.
And then we're going to fire it or
Okay.
run it through Bishop.
So-
We're going to put Bishop on the hood of the Enterprise.
Just strap him to the deflector dish.
That's
Right.
exactly what we're doing.
Okay, so I kind of like this because there's a rift, right? Now, it's a hole.
It's a hole
right?
in space
it's
and
a
between
hole, right?
realities. Yeah.
There is theories about wormholes and how wormholes could remain open, where the only way to keep it open is to use energy to hold the
door open.
So
Interesting.
maybe they're taking some of the energy that's holding
To
the rift
close the
open.
wormhole.
It's going to make the
Okay.
rift get smaller, and they.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That is what they do. They don't say wormhole because Scott Little doesn't know what that is.
Right.
But he's like, I wish I read that book by the wheelchair guy. So they send Bishop to engineering like he's a Deus Ex Machina because it's exactly what he is.
Right.
But I just love this huge dude next to Scotty.
Whoa.
Oh, okay, well, here we go. I'm just gonna. And of course, Bishop's from the future, so he should be like, oh yeah, I remember all this, but he doesn't because he's from a different future and he's in a
Right. This didn't happen to him.
Yeah, I'm just sure. So then Proteus is like, anyway, I'm not having sex with Deathbird anymore. Goodbye. And she's like, "Rah!" She's like, "Rah!" So Wolverine tries to slash at Proteus, the living god, with his
Well,
bone claws.
Yeah, that's what he would do.
And I wish they just shattered. He's like, oh no, not again. So then Jean enters his mind and brings Kirk with him because Kirk's sad because that's my dead friend and now he's a corpse puppet. And he's saying stuff, like, hey Kirk, we're friends. He's like, no, but I said that in my log.
And he's in there. They talk to Mitchell and shit.
Proteus using Mitchell, but Mitchell's like, you gotta kill him, man. You gotta kill me again. I know it's really hard, but you gotta kill me again. I'm sorry.
But you're already dead.
Yeah, I know.
How can you be in here? He was a corpse for God knows how long.
Right, no, yeah, there's no
Right.
brain matter to reanimate.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
No, my guess is
this
that,
doesn't
like,
make sense.
I guess, they don't offer any solutions to you, but if we can, put more effort into this book than Scott Lobdell, here we go. When Gary Mitchell was a god, right? It wasn't so much that he has a physical brain as he has a memory. Actually, I think they actually do refer to him as, in Star Trek parlance, an echo of the man he once was. So
Is it like a psionic echo?
it's a psionic echo of Gary Mitchell within his shell.
Me as an echo.
You know what? You know what might be easier though is if Proteus just read Kirk's mind.
Oh yeah.
To then regurgitate that back out.
Right, and just be
Yeah.
like, yeah, here's everything that you remember / idealized about your dead friend, and now I'm saying all the things that make you sad.
Right.
Which he kind of is, but Also, it's literally him.
But also, there's a guy in there.
But also, there's a guy in there, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "Please." He doesn't say anything interesting or add anything new to the proceedings. He's just kind of like, "Kill me."
You have to kill him.
Yep. And they're like, "Okay."
Yeah, I know. I was going to. I was sad about it, but I was going to do it.
You know, Spock's like, "Hey, we got a plan. We're gonna fire everything down here." And Bones is like, "Damn it, Spock! Like that's cold-blooded. We got people there. Like it's gonna kill everybody." You know, what about Jean and stuff? And Scott's like, "Jean, know the risks." And I'm like, "That's her wife, man."
What?
Kirk and Jean are still tethered to Mitchell/Proteus, and so if we kill Proteus, because their minds are linked, it could also kill them. But
I see.
Whatever.
So Scott is completely willing for his wife to die because he just hates Proteus so much.
No, we need to for the greater good. I'm not good a tactician. I
see.
understand. They understood the risks before going in, is what he says.
Right. I am willing to sacrifice my wife.
Yes.
For the greater good.
And I'm able to say that she's also willing to sacrifice her life. Anyway, so they're ripping apart the rift, and he's like, "Oh, you're killing the rift! No, that's gonna kill me!" And why are you doing this? And like Jean and Kirk are like, "I'm sorry, we love you." And he's like, "No, Jim, you killed me. I don't want to say goodbye." Proteus pretends to be Mitchell, be like, "You're killing us again, you bastard! Like you were just talking to your logs about how sad that is." And then real Mitchell like emerges. And he says, "No, Jim, it's me. Kill me again. It's okay. Your conscience is clean."
Right.
And so they do, and they fire everything at him. Like all the X-Men are like, "Bah!" Like they're just blasting everything at him. And you know, he's just fucked.
Yikes.
Yeah. They're coming back from
And
there.
of course, Wolverine just screams, just like, "Oh well, this is just like the Onslaught fight."
Yeah.
Ah!
He should run in and stab him at the end.
Right. Yeah. Unlike an X-Men movie, we can't have him do that because he's not the main character.
Right.
So anyway, they did that, and they just fire it all at Bishop, and hooray.
That it works.
Yep. Oh, and we don't have Scotty say anything like, "I'm giving her all she's got, Captain," but anyway, it worked, and they're like, "Woo!" And so then like the psychic Scottish village starts to collapse, and they're like, "Okay, we should leave." And the Shi'ar are like, "Oh, we should kill you," and the X-Men are like, "How about we catch a ride with you instead?" And they're like, "All right." So then everybody beams back up to the ship. The X-Men go to the Enterprise first to say goodbye, and they do, and Cyclops basically says something like, "We've seen the future before. We're no strangers to dark futures and stuff. Days of Future Past was invented for X-Men. But this is one of the few futures we've ever been to where it's actually optimistic." So
Yeah. Usually it doesn't.
Usually it doesn't end well.
It doesn't look like this.
And so that's kind of nice. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's probably because there's no mutants here. We
Kirk,
solved the mutant problem.
yeah, Kirk, they talk about how they don't have problems with mutants and how mutants exist in their reality, but not like X-Men mutants.
Not like you, though.
Sure.
No. No. Because you
Never
don't
like
exist
you.
in this reality. Like,
We're very tolerant, and even we couldn't incorporate
We have
an
our limits. I
entire
mean, come on.
race of mutants within humanity. Calls yourself Homo superior?
Right.
That would cause some problems.
It would. I mean, you know who would really appreciate it, though? God! Now that's the crossover. Khan and Magneto?
Oh,
Right?
man.
Come
That would be
on.
great.
That'd be great.
Oh,
work
my
out.
God.
You'd need more than one issue for that.
I think just a double-sized issue. Then you just do all the stuff you want to see and you're done. You don't waste time.
Right.
We're not going to spend all this time with like some manufactured love story where Gambit had sex with Uhura and then he's like, "Oh, shit, I'm not going to leave you in the future." Like, no. We know that Gambit banged Uhura. And then that's
Off
it.
panel.
Off panel, that happened. In sickbay. Anyway, so they leave. The X-Men leave, and then they go through the rift, and then that's the end of it. And they never cross over again. But the X-Men do end up traveling through time through the rift, and then end up meeting another crew of a different Enterprise.
Right. So right after this panel where they're going through,
Yeah.
it's like they don't actually get home.
Nope. They instead team
know.
up with the with Jean-Luc Picard. With
Okay.
Data and stuff.
Right.
And Kirk is
like,
like,
"Oh
"Well, that
my
was
God."
fun, wasn't it, Spock?" And Spock's like, "I would say it's more inspirational. It's encouraging to see some humans that are able to rise above the boundaries of imposed genetics."
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, what?
I think
Well, they got around their very obvious
that's
deformities.
exactly what Spock's saying. And Bones like, "What? Like, what the hell is that implication, Spock?" And then Kirk goes, "Gentlemen, please. Mr. Sulu, take us out of orbit." "Oh, were you in this book, Mr. Sulu?" Sulu's like, "I did have one line. Yes, Captain. I think I said something like, maintaining a distance of 1 million kilometers from the center of the anomaly, sir."
Yeah. This is like barely Star Trek book. This is like Kirk and Spock a little bit, and then some X-Men.
Bones too.
And Bones is in there, I guess.
Yeah, well, you mean like every Kelvin timeline movie?
Yes.
Kirk, Spock, Bones, and the rest.
Well, Uhura was important in those.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of actually mirrors the Where No Man Has Gone Before episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's just a lot of Kirk and a lot of Spock.
Yeah.
And there's Gary
Bones isn't in
Mitchell,
it.
obviously, and there's like
Yeah.
another helmsman who's in there a little bit, but he dies. He gets redshirted.
McCoy wasn't in that
Nice.
one either.
McCoy was not in that. It's a different doctor because it's a pilot.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like no Uhura, there's no Chekhov.
There's no Sulu.
George Takei is in it. But he's not Sulu. He's just like some rando in the
So
background.
it's like Tuvok, where it's
Yeah,
like,
but
oh, you were in the background of that one movie.
Yeah,
How about?
He's got like one line.
Okay.
And it has nothing to.
He's not
do
fun.
With, no, he just If you want to talk about it mathematically, his powers are growing exponentially, much like a penny. If you have one and double it every day, at the end of the month, you're a millionaire.
Wow. And then the rest of the book, you're like, wait, there's all this book left. It's all just pinups and previews. Like, here's here's one team up of the X-Men and Star Trek, but here's like Spock meeting an awesomely sexy lady. And here's here. By the way, these are done by like titans of the comic book industry today. You would never get Mike Deodato Jr. to draw like Spock happening upon a big horned lady, or have Steve Epting draw just like the trinity of Star Trek original series characters.
I kind of like that.
Or
though.
Gary
That's
Frank
a nice-
writing a scene we've all wanted to see of just Beast playing 4D chess with Spock, which does not happen in the comic book. Here's Star Trek again, and then here's all your previews. That all got canceled within a year. Within a year of Marvel Paramount Comics, they lose the license, and Paramount Comics is no more.
Wow.
Well,
So did any of those other books come out?
They did.
Okay.
Yes, and they were unceremoniously canceled in the middle of all of their runs.
Wow, they were that good.
Well, it's not even that they were good or not. I have no idea, nor does anybody else. But the fact is, they were canceled regardless. Like they lost the license. We have to stop.
I see.
There's just no money in it anymore. There's no profit in it. I'm a Ferengi now.
Quark.
But
Because
yeah,
I want to find
I want to
those.
see these. No, these. I mean, like, first of all, this is one of the healthiest, most aggressive Star Trek pitches I've heard. Not the X-Men one. The idea of being like, okay, we're gonna do an ongoing series of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, a made-up Academy series, and a Young Adventures of like Captain Pike. All these, and a like double digest book of TNG and OS.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and occasional one-shots. Like, here's a Mirror Universe issue. I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
They were like, we're doing this. And I'm like, all right.
We're going all in.
Oh, it's canceled.
We're going all out.
We are all out. Yeah.
So did Paramount just nope out of it?
Yeah.
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 Well, probably they looked at the initial sales numbers and they were like, oh, never mind.
Well, it was 96 and Marvel went bankrupt.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that same year.
Right, so.
So yeah, they couldn't even afford to make the damn things. But yes. So, but then the Paramount licensed to somebody else. They tried to do the Paramount comics. It didn't work out either because, like, apparently there isn't a really high, staggering drawing power to Star Trek, as you wouldn't believe it. But what about this? What if I spend $2 trillion to make a streaming service and made it mostly exclusively just Star Trek shows? Would I make all my money back then?
I assume not. I don't actually know.
No, because every year there's a leak from Paramount where they're like, we can sell, right? Like, we can just end this. Like I remember hearing on like the board of directors call for like Paramount. They were like, Paramount Plus does not make money. Can we please just close it? Can we just merge with like HBO or something and just stop?
Right, just let's put an end to this shit.
Just end it, please.
Put it in the
And every year they don't. And I keep seeing previews for them, and I'm like,
we need to lose enough money that we can just get bought. I'm just done. I'm just tired of being a company. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
If I can't win and have all the streaming revenue,
yeah.
then I don't even want to make a single move.
Yeah. Here's the thing I have to tell you about this. I'm sorry to tell you. You were never going to. But yeah, the Paramount Comics thing was neat. I'm like, wow, what a neat idea. And actually, if I had to make a call about how to raise awareness about my new imprint, Star Trek X-Men, yeah, I'd make that bet. And as far as this crossover is concerned, it is everything about a crossover. It's a crossover.
Right.
It's everything
It's got
that's
all
bad
the-
and good about a crossover.
Yeah, it's
Dr.
all in
McCoy,
here.
yes. Ha ha ha. Also, it's nonsensical.
So for someone who never cared about X-Men,
Naturally.
but was a Star Trek fan, I would have picked this up and like,
What?
what the fuck is this?
Well, and you wouldn't have had any context for like, who's Deathbird?
Right, I would
What's
have
Proteus?
this would have been insane.
No.
Yeah.
From the X-Men
This was
standpoint.
a
Like,
book that was sold to Marvel readers
Right.
to be like, this is what Star Trek is.
Right, and
Don't you
Nerds.
like this?
and maybe that was the wrong marketing approach, right?
Yeah.
It probably would have been better to go after the
Star Trek fans.
The Star Trek fans say, hey, there's all this other really cool, wacky stuff
Well,
we
you
do.
like all these universes and shit. Well, here's one
right,
of them.
with all these like weird aliens with powers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
This is the X-Men. Meet them.
Right. Instead, we're just like thrust into this insanity.
Yeah, by the way, in continuity, like it's not necessarily like this doesn't really matter to the X-Men lore, but like it could have happened.
Right, and like it's definitely when you read this, you're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that happened with these people before I picked
these
up
guys
this
were
book.
busy, yeah.
Yeah, they know each other.
Right. They've been through a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I know nothing about X-Men, but I know Wolverine has metal claws, and he doesn't in this story. So I know he's been through something.
Look at what is this page supposed to mean?
Right, no,
if you
right.
aren't intimately familiar with these characters, this is like, why are they standing like that?
If
Why are
you're
they all
only-
together like that? What is happening?
Right, if you're passively familiar with these characters, like, who are the others who have no lines, that don't do anything, and haven't
Right.
appeared before or since?
Right.
Yeah, they're
Like,
just on that one panel.
They're only on
yeah,
one
it seems
panel.
that it seems like they're real important, but
Yeah, they
the way
seem
they're
pretty
framed in
interesting.
this
Especially that
picture.
tall guy in the back.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
like,
seems
he seems really. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then he doesn't
Seems
matter.
like I should know who that is.
He doesn't do anything.
No, don't worry
Fight
about
the
him.
X-Men. They're busy shooting lasers at Proteus or something. But like, yeah. What?
Like, why are you guys posing for that picture that nobody's taking?
Well, because it's a Star Trek story. But yeah, I don't know. It was bizarre. And here's what's weird. DC had the Star Trek license for like a long time.
Oh yeah.
Never,
Really?
ever did a crossover.
Huh.
Which, I don't know. Superman Star Trek?
Yeah, that would be
I'd
cool.
read it. I mean, I'd read them all.
Well.
I mean, I read Green Lantern Star Trek. They did do Green Lantern Star Trek, but that was after
Yeah.
IDW got the license for Star Trek. It wasn't like, because DC was just churning out Star Trek books, but not like aggressively at once. It was more like, here is a TNG book. Here is some movie tie-in books to the original series.
Yeah. No, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I picked up a few like TNG books.
Yeah, because they went into like the double digits. Like it was a
Yeah.
while that series ran.
It of course deals with Klingons and
And Romulans and yeah.
no.
Oh, you're
specifically the ones that I have.
Oh, great! So it's
Or
like
about more
a
Klingons.
Worf episode.
Yeah, basically.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God!
I
But
know.
what about but what of Alexander? I love that episode when Worf becomes like a multiversal constant, and he goes to like he's bouncing around different realities.
That is one of my favorite episodes.
Such a great
It's
episode.
So fun.
It's such a great episode, and also he's like, wait a minute, what about like the fifth reality? Oh, wait a minute, what about Alexander?
Right.
I'm like, he ain't here, man. He's like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's probably for the best. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But I do get to bag Troy. And that's another one, though, where you're like, I feel interference. Like, Troy, I'm sensing something. I'm sensing a lot of studio interference. Like one person at an executive level really, really wants this Troy-Worf relationship to work. And it's just not. I'm not here for it, and I hate it, and I feel it. And I love when the show ends. And they're like, let's make it a plot point. Let's make it a plot point. We'll say that the dark future is that like Troy dies and Riker and Worf hate each other, and it drives Worf to be part of the Klingon Empire, and it makes Riker a bitter, grizzled old man. And then when we get back to the present, Picard tells them everything so that doesn't happen. And Riker even says, that way, some things aren't meant to happen, and looks right at Worf. And Worf's like, right, I will not have sex with Troy. And everyone's like, yay! And then the movies are like, how about they get married, moving on? And we're like, yes, thank you. And then the show's like, and they're making pizzas together. And then, for no reason, like a couple of years later, they hate each other, and they don't want to be near each other, and they're really sad because that thing they told Picard about while they were like snuggling.
Yeah, that made no sense. I hated that. I hated that so much.
I didn't hate it because I hated everything about Picard up until season 3, because season 3 was just basically like, hey, what if season 1 and 2 didn't happen and also none of the movies happened?
Right. Except the one bright point of the previous seasons was the
Riker.
Troy Riker episode.
Yes.
Where we got to see them in their happy little like Hobbit hut.
On that weird planet.
On
where,
that
like,
weird planet, and they had that kid who was, I don't know who that kid was who played their daughter. Or whatever.
Yes.
She was
great.
She was great. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want this. This is great.
Yeah,
Give me more of this.
Well, but I can't make Wrath of Khan for TNG with that. So instead, the kid is still. Well, I didn't kill the other kid.
No, they're just
sad. They're more sad than they were a couple of years prior. They had gotten over it, and then Riker didn't get over it.
Then Riker decided he hadn't actually gotten
he got
over it.
over it.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, I never got over it.
Actually, you know what? I was just putting on a brave face.
I was pretending to be over it. I wasn't over it.
Yep.
Right.
I'm so glad Barkley was not in that. That would have been very not okay.
I'm like, I'm a Dwight Schultz fan, but I
don't care for Barkley, but I understand. I'm like, what is this show's obsession with this fucking character? Like when he shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm like, what is happening? Why is Monk?
The
on
writers
this show?
think it's really funny for them to
know
be like an
they-
inept
I feel
person
it.
in Starfleet.
I feel it. I feel how much you like it, and it's like, but it makes it more weird that you're doing it.
Like, but how did he get in?
How did he pass the psych evaluation?
Right? Like they're
Right?
supposed to be this
He
like
shouldn't be anywhere near a computer like that has replicators.
right. Like how do you explain how the crew got the way they are if they let people like him in?
Yeah, like,
at least some of them should be like him.
How do I respect anyone's authority on this ship if they like tolerate? Like, how come they didn't fire him out of the torpedo bays after the holodeck incident?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're just like, oh, that.
Oh, Barkley. Oh, broccoli. Ha 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 ha. Like you were jerking off on the bridge, man. To the
you should be court-martialed. You should be in jail.
You are court-martialed. There's no question he should have been at least like that's like, and they are pissed. They're pissed, but like not enough.
Like, that is not okay.
They're not, but not enough. Like they're pissed, but like Data should be like, why is no one upset? Like this is confusing.
I don't understand. We're just gonna let this guy get away with this?
We're gonna let this go.
He broke like 17 regulations.
Yeah, we're gonna let this slide. I'm taking him to the brig. We're gonna drop him off at Starbase Future 7.
Why are you acting like this? You never usually act like this. What's happening?
You don't act like this with anyone else.
Why is this one guy gonna pass?
I don't understand the favoritism here. I know what favoritism is because I benefit from it a lot. You know, like when I built a daughter. Man, I remember 3 times this happened where I watched the opening of that episode.
The daughter episode.
The daughter episode. And I go, this looks fun. And then they go like, Data, what's going on? I'm like, oh no! And then I turn it off because I'm like, because I never remember it because I don't remember anything from that episode because of like how much I don't like it and how uncomfortable
The
I
brain
am.
just like
Yeah, and I'm
gets
like,
rid of that.
yeah, so I forget the first part because I'm like, oh boy, it's another episode. And then I'm like, oh no!
You know,
It's the part where Data fucking oversteps his bounds.
I will disagree with you. No, there's actually some really great stuff in that episode
There
later
is,
on.
there
Where
is.
like
Well, when the Starfleet shows up.
when
and they're like, what the
Starfleet
fuck?
shows up and Picard, he goes to bat for
He
Data,
does.
like in a serious way.
But should he?
But he should not. Because Data doesn't. Look, I get it. Parents, I get it. You don't get to consult anybody to like procreate. I get it, like because that's what Yeah,
but
like,
Data's a robot.
But Data's a fucking robot. Like he's
But
he's not property of Starfleet as we
not property of
established.
Starfleet.
Yeah, I guess that's
And-
true.
So but he shouldn't have
And he
to.
argues with the
Yeah.
conversation he has with Picard about like why.
Because Picard's like, this is fucking
Right,
this is
Picard's
terrible
like,
idea.
what? Why have you done this?
Yeah, and he's like,
why
well-
did you not consult with me? And
Right, he's like, why should I?
Why
He's
should
like,
I? We've determined I'm a live sentient being, and live sentient beings want to further their species by procreating, so that's all I've done.
Yeah,
and
no,
Picard's like,
because it makes a lot of paperwork for me.
that's basically it.